Hi everyone, I'm John C. Morley, the host of the J Moore Tech Talk Show and Inspirations for Your Life. Well, hey guys, it is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. It is great to be with you on Inspirations for Your Life, J Moore Tech Talk Show. Actually, today is the J Moore Tech Talk Show. Doing a couple of shows here, so it is the J Moore Tech Talk Show. Had one show just before this. So again, this is the weekly J Moore Tech Talk Show where we talk about all technology and things that will basically improve the quality of your life. And we really have a great show. But before we get into the show, I want to thank you guys. If this is the first time you're joining me, thank you. If you have been here many times before, I definitely want to say thank you for coming back. Really do appreciate that. And if you guys have not checked out BelieveMeAchieve.com, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and check that out after the show, that is, okay? BelieveMeAchieve.com for more of my amazing, of course, inspiring creations. And, of course, if you guys are thirsty, feel free to go get yourself a bottle of water. Like I have some RO water here. Maybe you want a piece of fruit. Maybe you want some chocolate. Maybe you want a nuts or something tart. Whatever it is, feel free to get that and head on back to the show because we have a really, really great show for you today. And it is Techquake. Ban hacks and AI wars shake the world. Series 4, show 38. So without any further ado, guys, let's get started, okay? All right, well, welcome to the J Moore Tech Talk Show, where global headlines meet expert analysis, and every story offers a new perspective. Hey, guys, who am I? I am John C. Morley, your host, serial entrepreneur, engineer, video producer, marketing specialist, keynote speaker, podcast host, and coach, graduate student, and of course, a passionate lifelong learner. This week, each major event deserves, well, a closer look. And here's what's on deck, all right? But before I get into the official things, I want to share something that it's a little bit off the cuff. Maybe you were expecting it. So today being September 19th show, I want to let you know that I got my brand new iPhone 17 Pro Max right here. And I thought I would give you a little taste about what it was like. Here's my iPhone 16 Pro Max. So first of all, I got the phone a few days ago. I actually had upgraded my iPhone 16 Pro Max to 26.0 iOS because I figured that having the latest iOS was going to be what the new phone wanted, and it would make the upgrade process very smooth. I would have thought. So I got the new phone. I did an unboxing video. I also put together another video about how to actually do the migration process. And then there's another video that I'll be doing about my review of the phone. All right. So again, got the phone, unboxed it. I got the deep blue. There's only 3 colors. It's basically the orange, the deep blue, and the gray. So I got the phone, and you turn it on, and it was probably a little more than half charged around that. And so I knew that I could do the migration phone to phone, like just having them close to each other and using it's Wi-Fi back and forth or the Bluetooth. So I was able to do that. And so I had followed did what I normally do. And the way you do it is, you get to the point that it asks you if you want to, set up your phone, from another phone. You choose that option. And then basically what you have to do is you're basically scanning the QR code that comes on the screen. And then you scan the QR code. And so what happens is it trips the one phone, the other phone, you read the QR code, and then you're able to basically proceed with the next step. It asks you if you're setting it up for a minor, a child, etc. So you answer those couple questions. And then after that, you know, it's going to ask you, you're going to have to connect to a network that comes in the process. So you have to connect to a network. So I connected to my Wi-Fi network. My Wi-Fi network is really severely locked down on purpose, so other people don't just join the network without being allowed. And so one of the things I use is MAC filtering. So what I could have done is actually went into my router and just enabled the MAC address for this new iPhone 17 Pro Max. But I want to show people what happens. So I remember having this phone and today, and what I did was I didn't enable the MAC address when I got to the part where I connected to the network. And so whenever you go to the Wi-Fi screen and you're on a Wi-Fi screen of the other phone, you can basically choose to share the password. So that was pretty straightforward. And so again, I've done this many times before. And so I figured, I'm going to have the latest OS. It's going to be great. So what it noticed is that the new phone did not come with 26.0. And I was like, oh, great. So they made this big push that, it was going to have it, but it really didn't. So it had like the 18.1 or 18.2. So what did it have to do when it checked my phone and saw that it had the 26? Well, it actually needed to upgrade, which was fine. But I would have thought the phone would have come with itself already at 26.0. So after it finished the upgrade and doing the reboot, it then, basically I thought would have proceeded with the transfer of the files. Wrong. I had to then initiate the transfer again. And the funny thing is, it never said that it failed. So you just had to know that it didn't go through by looking at your phone and the screen and stuff like that. So I did that, and this time the network was activated, so it worked. And so it said it was 15 minutes, was the estimated. It actually took about maybe 10 and a half minutes. So it went pretty fast for 500 and some gigabytes, which is pretty good. So once all that was completed, the next thing that was a little funny was the activation of the SIM. So there's no SIM in this phone, which is subscriber identification module. There's something called an electronic subscriber identification module, not just a SIM, which used to be a chip you put from one phone to the other phone. That's how we used to do it. So what happened was you normally would activate the eSIM over the Wi-Fi, and that'd be good to go. Now, about 6 months ago, I activated a phone for a client, and that phone did not activate. I had to call them or follow the steps to, activate it through their automated system. Okay. So now I called them to do the activation. They were closed. I could use the automated system. It was a little convoluted. You had to go through a couple menus, and then you press the option, and they confirmed it and all that. And then once that happened, the next thing that happened was it went through and basically it said it was complete. I powered off the phone, powered it back on. Within 4 or 5 minutes, I had a working cell phone for, data and, for cell phone calls. And then I was able to enable the feature for, cellular wireless calling. So, calls over wireless, they call it. And so I did that. But here was the funny part. Everything came over, except for a couple of things. So first thing was I had to go to my phone, and I had to make sure that I had unpaired my one particular app I use for the security to talk to my U.S. Treasury Services at one of my banks. And so I unpaired it because the last time I did this, no one explained that you had to unpair it or that you could just remove it. You had to. So I went in there, I unpaired it, And that was pretty smooth. I logged back in, and then it just sent me a temporary passcode to my email, and I scanned the QR code, and that was really simple. I actually had gotten a warning a couple days ago when I was doing an ACH transfer. I got this warning that if you're getting the new phone, make sure you unpair, which is great. They had that little warning there, but I kind of was, aware of what was going to go on. So I knew to do that. Next, my emails. So when it transferred everything over and then the emails were getting read, it was reading them from the beginning of time. It didn't know like the exact point where my other phone was. It should have brought exactly there, but it didn't. So I figured, no big deal. I'll just delete the emails. Okay, fine. I can delete emails one by one and select them. I could not select all. That feature, even though it says it's there, it's not there. There seems to be a bug that you cannot just delete things. So, deleting a couple hundred emails takes a few minutes. Deleting 700 emails, well, that takes a lot longer. So that's a bug. There was another little kind of a little nuance that, I store over 30, 40 two-factor authentications in Microsoft Authenticator. I had backed them up, but there were some settings that were not getting enabled. So I had to go in there and check that. And then I could actually recover my Microsoft Authenticator account, because to put in 40-some accounts by hand, that's not easy. I would have to go to every single service provider that I had two-factor authentications with. Like, you're talking about things like power company, certain website logins, Slack, etc. That would have taken me, if they're 40, it could have taken me maybe 10 minutes, okay, for each one. That's a lot of time, guys. 10 minutes, and I had 40 of them, right? 10 times 40, 400 minutes. So 400 minutes divided by 60, that would have taken me over 6 hours. So I said, no, we are not doing this. And so got that to work. And then I also had to add this app back on for my school. And that worked really simply, no problem. But Apple has never been very transparent with their upgrades. If you didn't upgrade your other phones, well, it would have a big problem. Now, they're forcing an upgrade, and they don't have enough smarts to actually go back and continue the file transfer process. I mean, come on, guys. You've made how many iPhones? You think you could maybe get this right? Apple just doesn't seem to put a lot of care into the simplicity of the setup or to making it seamless. They figure, well, that's just kind of part of the Apple way. You've owned Apple devices, so you know how well they work or how bad they migrate. And I got to give them a 5 out of 10 because I think they could have done a lot better job on the migration process. Once it had gone through, it would have said, hey, we're upgrading. We're now copying the files over. Like, I shouldn't have had to go back. And then I got to say a shame on you to Verizon. I'm sure a lot of carriers are doing this too. They say they're doing it for security, but to have to go in and call them and activate the eSIM, I mean, that was just another hassle. So the whole process took under an hour. And I did this whole thing on video to show people, like, what this takes. And I sped up some parts of it. But I want to share that with you because, again, I've got my new iPhone 17 Pro Max working. I just have to get the new protector on it, the screen protector and whatnot. And I also have to get the new Defender Pro case. So again, yes, I have it. Yes, it is working. And but the fact that I have 7,000 emails right now, guys, I mean, that is just like, that's pitiful. Okay. And the funny part is that I deleted these emails, okay, and they have still come back. So I am not very, very happy with how their migration process worked, to be, quite honest with you. I had deleted all these emails and they still came back. So, you know, that's a problem, guys. I mean, a really, really big problem. It says I have over 7,000 emails. Okay. That is like insane, guys. That is absolutely, absolutely insane. So, not pleased with the entire process because I think it could have gone a lot better. I really do. I did get everything over, and it looks like my phone's going to work fine. But there's still a little bit I have to massage with, the emails and stuff like that. So let's get right into our topics. But I did want to share my insights with the iPhone 17 Pro Max with you. So, ladies and gentlemen, the United States is weighing a ban now on the Chinese-made drones and trucks, a move that could drastically reshape the global tech supply chain. And that's something that is very, very critical for everyone in the world. The conversation centers on national security and trade dynamics are raising tension between tech giants and world powers as future regulations and partnerships are hanging in the balance. Now, number two, in a decisive crackdown, Russia has decided to block access to the WhatsApp and YouTube, signaling a significant pivot toward digital isolationism. Now, this sudden change has forced millions to find new ways to communicate, altering the social and informational landscape for everyday Russians and digital businesses worldwide. Number three, guys, as part of this digital crackdown that they're going through, Russian citizens must now adapt to a suite of the Kremlin approved, quote unquote, platforms. The government's push raises concerns over freedom, privacy, and innovation in a space previously dominated by global technology leaders, testing how citizens interact with technology under heightened surveillance. Number four, guys, Warner Brothers is shaking up the industry in the entertainment world and tech by suing various AI companies for using Superman and Scooby Doo without proper permission. Yeah, they weren't looking for the Scooby snacks. This historic legal battle could set precedences on creative rights and define how intellectual property is protected in an age of generative AI. Now, in a landmark, number five, settlement, AI powerhouse Anthropic has agreed to pay 1.5 billion over book piracy claims. Now, this unprecedented payout that wasn't expected not only emphasizes the growing responsibilities of tech giants to creators and authors, but also signals a new era of accountability in artificial intelligence. Number six, guys, after a tragic incident involving teens, parents have taken OpenAI to court, spotlighting the urgent need for better safety protocols in the AI world. The lawsuit intensifies a national debate on how companies design and monitor AI's impact on vulnerable populations, especially our youth. So apparently, they thought they weren't doing enough, so I guess they brought it to the powers that be in the law. And number seven, guys, kind of compounding on this, Meta has halted its AI now because of all this. And it's not because they want to, it's because of the lawsuit, from engaging any further suicide prevention chats with teens. A move that now opens a heated debate about liability, digital mental health, and the right boundaries for tech intervention in sensitive conversations. You might be saying, John, what harm can this do? Okay, so whether it's a minor or it's not a minor, the fact that, a piece of technology is giving advice to somebody, a minor or another person that's a valid life, and if something goes awry in that conversation, right, or an algorithm goes out of whack, well, it could say something that could potentially affect a human being. And by affecting that human being, it could affect their desire of whether they want to be alive or not. And that's pretty sad. So, where should the line be drawn on stuff like this? And are companies doing enough? Apparently not. So, what Meta is now doing, and other companies are going to be forced to do this, they didn't do this because they wanted to do this. I just want to be clear about this. They have now stopped the suicide prevention chat line bots. But what they aren't doing is they are, if they get this type of communication, they're routing it to a live human being who is supposedly, quote unquote, trained in psychology or is a psychologist and can actually be the right person to give that minor or that other person in life the information that they really need. Because, when somebody's going through an emotional challenge, a computer can fire off all kinds of answers. And if that answer hits you and it's, let's say, given in a way that's not softened, well, that could really affect your outlook on life and what you value and whether you think life is important. So I think we got to be careful. And I think we can't use AI as something that is going to be a direct response, because AI does not know how to soften things. AI does not know how to validate things. And AI can actually cause not only a problem, but it'll make the situation worse by exacerbating it. And I can see why the parents are unhappy. I mean, think about this. Somebody was online, they're not happy with their life, and they decide that they're going to talk to some bot about, why they're here and if they should be here. And if they get some kind of response from the bot and the bot maybe decides to say, well, you should, that's not good. That bot does not have a true understanding for what the meaning of life is. And I think that's a very, very important conversation that we all need to understand. Number 8, guys, education is on the brink of transformation as the Khan Academy pilots an AI set of powered classrooms. This leap forward in personalized learning could set the standard for schools worldwide, offering tailored curriculums, instant feedback, and more engaging experiences for students and teachers alike. Far beneath the surface, number 9, Red Sea cable have been cut, and they have disrupted the Microsoft Azure empire and the global cloud trafficking, leaving the tech infrastructures, in other words, vulnerable. The incident exposes how fragile and essential our underground digital backbone is to daily operations and to international business. Number 10, guys, in a stunning cyber attack, Jaguar Land Rover was forced to shut down multiple factories, stopping production lines and sending shockwaves through the entire automotive industry supply chain. This breach highlights the mounting risk industries face and the urgent need for reinforced cyber defenses. And I think this is something that hopefully everybody will come to an understanding, to appreciate that it's not about the one thing. It's about what they didn't do. And that's the fact I've always said. It's not a question of if you're going to get attacked, but when, if you are not properly protected. Let me say that again. It's not a question of if you're going to get attacked, but when, if you are not properly protected. And people say, well, no, John, I can't afford antivirus. I can't afford spyware. I can't afford protection. I can't afford ransomware. I can't afford sandboxing. I can't afford backup. You are the companies that cannot afford to be without this kind of protection or backup. Because if something happens that destroys your empire, you don't have the resources to rebuild it. Another company can't afford it either, but they have resources in the bank and places that they can reach to rebuild their empire in maybe a couple days, couple weeks, or couple months. That's a very, very important thing that I think a lot of people miss today is that, well, it's never going to happen to me. Always have to be vigilant. We had something today whereby we noticed somebody from Europe that was trying to penetrate one of our forums. Of course, we have pretty tight security, but we noticed somebody attempting to hack. They weren't getting through, but we noticed it. As soon as we noticed what was happening and where their IP was going, we immediately shut their whole subnet down, like within minutes. So we were not going to be hacked in any way, shape, or form. We were definitely safe. But just to keep that out and to keep the resource from bogging our servers down, because you have to remember, even if we don't get attacked, it still takes away from our resources in our server, and that's a big problem, right? So we did address that. And so we're always making changes to be more vigilant, to be more on track, to be more on the cutting edge, but never to be complacent that we have everything in place, always ready to be adapting. Number 11, guys, Germany has unveiled Europe's fastest supercomputer, redefining speed, records, and repositioning the country as, well, a power player in research, simulation, and AI advancement. The launch demonstrates bold commitment to the scientific discovery and also to technological frontier building in the modern age. And I think this is something that a lot of people don't realize, that we have to embrace these small innovations, because these small innovations actually are the seeds or the fuel to empower the larger innovations. Number 12, guys, the United States Securities and Exchange Commission, well, is planning sweeping new crypto regulations, signaling massive shakeups for the digital currencies and fintech. The proposed changes could elevate transparency and security, but also unsettle markets used to be in the involved of minimal oversight. And so, what I want to share here, guys, and I think this is a very important thing to understand, is banking. So, back around the ancient days in the marketplace in circa 2000 BCE, the earliest banks were actually temples and places in Mesopotamia and Egypt, which served as secure storage for grain and other valuables, and priests and merchants issued interest-bearing loans of grain to farmers and traders, with these arrangements meticulously recorded on clay tablets. They didn't have paper back then. When we ride up to circa 600 BCE, currency and private banking became the thing, with invention of metal coins in Lydia and their adoption by the Greek and Roman empires. Banking evolved to include currency exchange, accepting deposits, and lending money. In Rome, money changers worked from benches called banku, from which the modern term bank actually got derived. Now, if you knew that, around the 12th to the 15th centuries of our time, medieval merchant banks arose. This was during the Crusades. The Knights, the Templars facilitated the transfer of funds for pilgrims by accepting local currency and issuing now letters of credit. Later, affluent families in the Italian city-states like Florence created merchant banks and pioneered the double entry bookkeeping system, credits and debits. Paper currency hit us around the 17th century in England. The goldsmiths began issuing paper receipts for deposited precious metals, discovering that these receipts could be lent out as, well, a form of debt. And they created a new kind of money and invented fractional reserve banking. The Bank of England was established, by the way, in 1694 to manage government funds and, ladies and gentlemen, to stabilize, the government funds of currency. And the rise of banking continued in the 18th and 19th century, and that's when we hit the Industrial Revolution. During the period of rapid industrialization, global trade, banks just took off into large commercial entities offering services like checking accounts, overdraft protection, and investment banking. the rise of prominent banking in the families just took off and grew. Around the 1930s, we got regulation and stability for our banks. The banks became more widespread. In the United States, the Glass-Steagall Act separated commercial and investment banking, and we now got the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, created to insure customer deposits against any bank failures. Around the 1960s to basically 1990s, technology began to reshape, and banks now were experiencing the introduction of credit cards. The first general purpose credit card was Bank AmeriCard. Now you know them as Visa. It came about in 1958. ATMs became available in the late 1960s, 24/7 access to cash. Online banking became a thing in the 1980s and grew into the 1990s. Digital disruption and the rise of the fintechs in the 2000s. And 2008, we had the financial crisis that was exacerbated by a major shift toward financial technology. In the late 2000s, we started having more people using mobile banking, scanning checks on their phones, making deposits and transfers all from their mobile phones, even being able to do this from the telephone. Emerging tech was definitely popping, and the industry now influenced things like cryptocurrency, blockchain, open banking, and AI-powered services. So, but the question people ask me, John, is, are our banks going to be consolidated? I don't think we're going to have just one bank, but I think instead of having 20 or 30 or 50 banks, we might only have 3 or 4 or maybe 5 at most, because I think the banks right now are getting overwhelmed and they're having trouble keeping up. I know people now that are trying to get into the banking industry that have had years of experience, over 23 years experience, and they can't get a job. And it's not because they're not good, guys. It's because of one thing. It's because the banks themselves can't keep their managers. They can't keep their tellers. They can't keep people. And then when they get good people to come in, well, they can't even find the right people to interview. It's been deplorable what I've seen in how they interview candidates in the financial industry. And number 13, Nepal's government now has blocked Facebook, igniting a rather passionate debate over digital rights and freedom of expression. Now, citizens and activists are now challenging lawmakers on the global front and stage to reconsider how nations balance control and connectivity all around us. So this is something that's emerging. It's not just something that's happening today, but it's something that's happening every single day. And number 14, in the corridors of power, Trump has been gathering the top tech CEOs for this high-profile luncheon he had at the Rose Garden dinner. And this exclusive event could usher in now policy shifts affecting things as widespread as social media, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, with implications that have the potential to ripple far beyond just what is encountered at the White House. Guys, that's a lot of information, and we're going to start to see changes in our world. They're not going to happen tomorrow, but I'm telling you, we're going to start to see subtle changes. And these subtle changes are going to affect not just the microeconomy, but they're going to affect the entire economy. And I think that's an important thing to realize. And here's one, kids are hacking their own schools now. And you're probably wondering, why is this growing so fast? Well, school cyber hacks aren't just headline news. See, students themselves are behind a growing wave of insider attacks for fun, for thrill, or challenge. And this is all according to the United Kingdom's top watchdog, as they've been noticing this change. From cracked staff accounts to massive data breaches, even 7-year-olds are getting involved in the act. Experts are warning that these dares that they're being put up to do by other students can now lead to serious consequences for schools, for teachers, and students, and might even involve them in legal implications. Is it about curiosity? Is it crime, or a wake-up call for better digital safety? And I think this brings me back to a very interesting point. When I was younger, I always liked hacking just like I do now, but I did legal ethical hacking. So what was the difference? So when I hacked back then, just like when I hack today, it's legal, but I did it, I had software programs. And the only hacking I would do was either hacking I got permission to do in a closed facility, a closed system, or if I had a game and I was trying to hack the game, I would never sell it, never do anything bad with it. I just want to see if I could. Lots of it was for a game to see if I could get past the level, to understand the logic and how things work. But it was never to make money on it. It was never to exploit anybody. It was strictly for the concept of learning. What these people are doing at the school level, you're talking about kids getting in to change a grade. These are people that are very smart, but sometimes these people can go south. And I think this happens because maybe they're not getting the right nurturing. It could be happening because, the schools maybe don't have the right outlets. Maybe they need extracurricular things like more STEM programs. I think this is a really big concept that many schools are facing. Either they invest money in putting programs together that are going to feed these students' creativity, or they could risk the fact that that school now will become responsible and could become liable for being I don't know, let's say a grounds for them being groomed to be, shall we say, thieves? Don't want to say that, but deceptive crime. That's really bad. And ladies and gentlemen, going to college back now for my computer science AI master's and my CS AI PhD is really important to me. And I take studying very seriously. I also take doing my work honestly very seriously. But a lot of people are not. They are involved with AI cheating. And is it changing schools forever? I think so. I think it's okay to use AI to learn from, but it's not okay to use AI to learn and copy the answer verbatim. You can use it to practice, but you should never be using AI to just give you an answer. Okay? Forget the old book reports, right? AI has appended the way students write, they study, and they even get graded. Teachers across the country are saying the rise of AI tools like ChatGPT and many others is so extreme that the take-home essays and even homework might now be history. With students unsure right now what's allowed and rules constantly shifting, schools now scramble to set clear guidelines and fight a wave of high-tech cheating. Is this the end of traditional assignments? I don't know. But I know one thing. Every time that I start a new course at college, they spend a good 15 or 20 minutes explaining the honor system policy. They're talking about things like, not cheating from people, reading off your neighbor's test or something like that, or turning in somebody else's work. But now they're getting into the fact of, AI is also somebody else's work. And again, there's a difference between using AI to learn. There's a difference in using AI to cheat. And it breaks my heart when I find people that are just using AI to cheat, get a grade, but then, they're really cheating themselves, right? And Microsoft does something interesting. It kills authenticator passwords. What's next? Microsoft authenticator passwords are history. But the two-factor authentication still lives on. This was as of August 1st, 2025. Microsoft Authenticator nuked the password autofill for good, which doesn't bother me too much. The two-factor authentication is safe and sound, but if you didn't move your passwords before the deadline, guess what, guys? They're gone. So I have lots of accounts in my 2FA, but I will tell you, in order to use the 2FA, to bring the accounts over, you have to make sure that you've enabled the iCloud on your old phone, your new phone, you had everything synced and backed up, and then you recovered the account. And that's an important thing to do. So there's a lot happening, guys, right now. And I think with everything going on, and we talk about Microsoft Authenticator, we talk about lots of things. We talk about, Apple Apple's Watch gets the FDA. I didn't even know they needed to get an FDA. Yeah, Apple's Watch gets the FDA. I mean, like, what the heck is this all about? So Apple has just made history, and this was a September 16th. The hypertension detection is coming to the Apple Watch. That's right, this week. Bringing early warning for high blood pressure to millions of people worldwide. Health tech steps up again as your risk could help save your life. But you're wondering, why did this happen? If you remember, Mr. Cook said that, he wanted to be more than just technology. He wanted to be the heart and hub of living a healthier, happier life. Looks like they're starting to do that. And we'll have to see, what's going to happen. And the FTC, guys, is targeting big AI now. Is chatbot hype hiding huge dangers? The U.S. government is cracking down, demanding answers from OpenAI, Google, Meta, and more about their AI bots. After scandals and lawsuits, the FTC wants to know, is your chatbot safe, or is it risking itself under user privacy, mental health, and more? This is what's going on. AI's wild, wild west days might be coming to an end because, as we learned with Meta and some other companies, at the end of the day, if you're a developer and you're producing something, you're responsible for what you created. I mean, you have to know what it can and can't do. And if you built something, you don't understand its potential, well, then you could potentially be liable, my friends. That's a very, very big war. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you guys know this. I talked about the Ray-Ban glasses, which were okay. They weren't phenomenal, right? Amazon takes on Meta now. AR glasses war begins. Amazon is secretly, well, it's not a secret anymore, building its own AR glasses to battle Meta for your digital world. Full color display, camera, voice, and style. Coming soon to change how you see everything. Who's ready for Amazon versus Meta in the next big wearable showdown? And they're claiming that these glasses will have more storage and they will last longer, have a longer battery life. So these are very cool, important things. And here's what I think you guys are going to find interesting. Microsoft decides to end the full remote 3-day back to the office adventure. Microsoft just dropped the bombshell that no more endless remote work. Starting next year, all employees near headquarters must be in the office at least 3 days a week, with the policy going global very soon. If they don't, well, let's just say that they might have to find a new job. And as I said to you before, meet the iPhone 17, guys, the next level camera. Power and style. Apple has unveiled the iPhone 17 family. I have the iPhone 17 Pro Max right here in my hands. And the 17 Pro Max has some real jaw-dropping upgrades. Revolutionizing your selfies with the all-new center stage front camera, snap ultra-crisp photos on triple 48-megapixel rear lenses, and immerse yourself in a brighter, smoother ProMotion display powered by the lightning-fast A19 chip. Now, these iPhones deliver all-day battery, super fast charging, flagship durability. They're available in the colors that they've shown with double the starting storage, and they're ready to experience a new era. And as we said, the pre-orders started on the 12th. That's when they started the pre-orders. I actually got my order in, I wound up getting my order in. It was actually last Friday I got the order in. But they said pre-orders opened on Monday. But I knew that I didn't want to wait till Monday because, for whatever reason, I just didn't trust, that the sites wouldn't crash again, as they always do. And so the funny thing was, when I ordered my phone on the 12th, it shipped out on the 14th, a Sunday, but it was held and not delivered until today, the 19th. Remember, you cannot get the phone early. That's the whole thing with with Apple. You cannot receive the phone early. And Amazon tests GM's electronic vans and sustainability's push. Amazon is ramping up its green fleet, now testing General Motors' Bright Drop electric vans in select areas as part of its ambitious plan to deploy 100,000 EVs by 2030. These new additions join the Rivian and other electronic models, all part of the Amazon's drive for net zero emissions by 2040. While only a handful of Bright Drop vans are currently on the road, their launch marks another big step into transforming delivery and reducing the carbon footprint, even as production pauses and the competition in the electric vehicle space definitely heats up, guys. So we'll definitely keep an eye on what Amazon is doing there. One thing is certain is it's making a big impact, and not a lot of companies are doing this. So I think this is going to get Amazon a lot of big PR, maybe more than they had visioned, but definitely going to get them some more PR, hopefully some good PR. But here's one that I think you guys are going to find, I'm going to say, a little bit interesting. The hidden radios in our roads. U.S. officials are now warning that some solar-powered highway tech may contain secret radios that could be hacked. Are foreign-made devices putting American infrastructure at risk? This is not a drill. So not only would they be able to possibly change what's on a sign, which you might figure, what's the deal about that? Well, plenty, especially if a road's closed and somebody now changes the way something goes, that could potentially affect somebody's life. Or if these signs are part of a bigger infrastructure, it could be even more serious. So, or are they being used like espionage to grab data that they could send back, that they could learn more about what's going on in our world? So I think it still comes down to the fact that certain things need to be made and used in the United States. I was chatting with somebody on social media just the other day, and they said to me, why should everything be in the United States? Of course, they were from another country. And I said, well, haven't we gotten burned in the United States enough? And when I said that, they didn't even respond. It's like, well, we should be able to produce things. Yeah, you're the ones that put us in this position, right? And, with things happening now with the drone crisis and Poland shooting down the Russian drones, this is what's believed. But then somebody said that it wasn't Russian, even though it was reported to be Russian. NATO's first combat response since the Ukraine war. Is Europe on the brink for some trouble? I don't know. It could be. And so there's definitely a lot, guys, that is morphing. And this week, there is so much stuff. So I thought I would end by talking a little bit about glass. So what is, Apple's new 26.0 glass update features? So there's a lot, so I'm not going to get into all of them. The iOS 26 update introduces the new liquid glass design, providing a seamless, translucent kind of feel, kind of space-age visual experience across the interface with light refracting elements. Key features powered by Apple Intelligence include live translation for calls and messages, enhancements to phone and messaging with screening tools and polls, a new integrated games app, customizable lock screen, and a 3D photo effect system, and the ability to create digital IDs in the Wallet app. But here's one thing that I think you're really going to like, and it's not just a fad. I think, how many times have you called somebody, right? It could be Verizon, it could be your phone company, it could be a service company, and you're put on a hold, right? I'm sure that never happens to anybody. Well, how would you like it if the phone could tell you when a live person was on the phone, so you didn't have to sit there holding? Well, wish no more. There is a feature on the iPhone 26.0. You don't have to have the 17. With 26.0, it can now alert you when somebody comes back to the phone. There's even a feature to allow you to record calls on the phone, which is pretty cool. They released that a few versions ago, but that's really a very high-end thing. And I think more people are wanting technology that summarizes. So I think they did a good job with that. I do like the new camera features that they've added. You now can not only just take from one place, but you can take the zoom. So on my old phone, I could only go up to 25, okay? On my new phone, on my camera, I can actually go up to 40 times on a photo. That's incredible, guys. That is like when I say it's incredible, that's incredible. And on the video, I can go up 24 times. That's some pretty remarkable stuff. Okay. Um, and I have to tell you that I don't believe the iPhone 17 Pro Max is a fad. I believe they have not only coupled some great software, but they've leveraged some better hardware to make the software be more efficient, like in the video world and the picture world. So, what are some of the quick features that I can talk about real quickly before we get out? So, we have the new design, the fluidity. I talked about that. The lock screen, we talked about that. The camera, updated tab for the photos. There's a new tab design for Safari. They've had some new re-imaged landing pages for FaceTime. They've enhanced CarPlay to work better. Compact Call UI. There's a better TV app. So there's visual intelligence. You can access visual intelligence in any app by pressing the same buttons you use to take a screenshot on your phone. That's pretty cool, guys, right? Live translation, automatically translate incoming text, including group messages. Type your response in your preferred language, and it will be delivered to your friend in both the original and translated language. That, guys, is like really the bee's knees. Intelligent actions in shortcuts can summarize text, create images, or tap directly into Apple's intelligence models to provide responses that feed into your shortcut. You've got Genmoji. You can combine emojis to make new generation emojis. You have an image playground, which has been enhanced even more than before. You've got backgrounds. You can send polls to friends and families over iMessage to find out everybody's availability or preference for dinner. So they've really kind of stepped this up a little bit, if you ask me. You can select with type of messages, time sensitive, personal, transactional, promotional. They did that in the 18 something, but they've enhanced that even more. Maps is better. Music is better. They have like a DJ auto mix seamlessly that can transition from one song to the next using time stretching and beat matching to deliver an even more seamless listening experience. The wallet seems a lot more viable. I will tell you that when I had to go to the new phone, I did have to put in my, authentication codes for security codes for the credit card. They didn't just come over. I had to put that in, but that was good. And then I had to reactivate with the bank. Apple Games is all new. And so, there's even Braille access, a powerful way for Braille users with connected displays to interact with their Apple device. Users with limited mobility can navigate iPhone using head movements more easily and perform actions like tapping or taking a screenshot using different facial expressions. Sound recognition can now be trained to recognize names to notify users who are deaf or hard of hearing if their name is being called. So a lot of cool things. I told you the clock is kind of neat. You can change the amount of time you can snooze from 1 minute to 15. Larger snooze button, and they made it like more friendly, more exploratory. So that was really really cool. I like the summary feature. I started using that in the 18.2, but it's a lot better with the new phone, and I really am enjoying the glass feature. Um, Safety check. You can stop sharing across the system with safety check right away when you block a contact. That's cool. That's a neat little thing. Siri has gotten an upgrade. Uh, Siri has gotten some more product knowledge to help you. It can follow up on Chat GPT responses with Action. Siri can help you take action on responses from Chat GPT. The stolen device protection requires that Face ID or Touch ID with no passcode fallback when stolen device protection is active. So that's pretty cool. Severe weather alerts. There's some writing tools, improved formatting support in writing tools. So, I think they've made the phone more practical. That's what I have to say. Uh, but I still have to say the migration experience, terrible. I mean, really terrible. They made the phone look better. They gave some other options, like you can have the clock from the clock show up also on the side of the screen as well as be at the top. So they added things like that. The screen is more vibrant. Um, they made summarization a lot easier. And they made prompting. Now they have screening. They have a screening call feature. So call screening automatically answers unknown callers without interrupting you. Once the caller shares their name and the reason for their call, your phone rings, and you can decide if you want to pick up or not. Those that are probably trying to spam you are probably not going to state their name. They're going to hang up. So there's a lot of cool things that I think they did in this version. By the way, in case you're wondering, the iOS 26 version, which is pretty cool, is compatible from the iPhone 17 family all the way down to the iPhone 11 family, all the way down to the iPhone SE second generation and later. So iPhone 26 is not just for the last few releases of phones. And I think it's great that they made the system adaptable so it can work great with the new phone at a more enhanced level, but it also can work with the other older phones. Again, I have not tested all the features out yet. I just got the phone. I don't even have the phone 24 hours. But from what I can see, it seems like it's going to be better. You also have the ability on the phone here. You can swipe down the options. They added some more options. They also added a QR option. So when you swipe down on the right, as you normally can swipe down on the right of your screen. There's an option in the very bottom left corner that they put there, which is the QR code scanner, which I think is really nice that they added that kind of feature. You have the accessibility thing to help you accessibility. You have the dark mode and dark mode on, dark mode off in just one quick touch. So they really made things pretty easy. The way they did things, they have the screen mirroring. You can mirror your screen to a 4K stick. You can mirror it to something else. And that's really, really cool. You have the low battery mode, which can automatically go on. You can also turn on from that screen. So again, they made a lot of enhancements from what I can see. And again, I'm just playing. I love the clearness. The clearness is pretty cool because it's like you're swiping down, and it's like you're seeing it's like this glass feeling. Even the numbers have this very almost like slightly transparent, translucent effect. Like on the time, it's not a true white 106. It's between a gray and a white. It's like kind of like just light there. It's really cool how they did this. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. I invite you to check out more of my shows. Visit BelieveMeAchieve.com, and I'll catch you real soon. Be well, everyone.